Recently, Benedict Cumberbatch dropped some pretty surprising news during an interview with TV Magazine. He confirmed that Doctor Strange won't appear in Avengers Doomsday. According to insiders, the movie went through a full rewrite after Jonathan Majors' exit, and the new version simply didn't have space for Stephen Strange. But before fans start panicking, there's a twist. Secret Wars has been reworked to make Strange one of its key players. So, while it means we'll have to wait longer for Doctor Strange 3, Cumberbatch isn't too bothered by the change. He also cleared up the rumors about leaving the MCU, saying he's happy to stick around. In fact, he joked that his Marvel paychecks are what let him fund his smaller indie films. He did admit that working on blockbusters felt restrictive at first, since everything is planned down to the tiniest detail. Still, it's a trade-off he's clearly okay with. Cumberbatch had previously confirmed he'd be back for Avengers 5 and even teased a potential crossover with Doctor Doom. But in a wild turn of events, he's now saying Strange was completely written out of Doomsday. Instead, the character will play a major role in Secret Wars, which might also mean that Doctor Strange 3 could arrive before that movie hits. Benedict laid out 3 big points. Doctor Strange 3 is officially in development, though he's keeping the story under wraps. Marvel's exploring different comic arcs, and Strange will remain a central figure in the MCU for years to come. He once again shut down any talk of quitting the franchise and doubled down on how grateful he is that the role gives him creative freedom outside of Marvel. Now, about Doomsday. The script was totally reset in mid-2023, with every draft since 2022 tossed in the trash. The original writer, Jeff Loveness, had a version that featured the Council of Kangs going up against Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, and Moon Knight, basically setting up a completely different path towards Secret Wars. But after Quantumania's flop and Major's legal issues, Marvel hit the brakes. Kevin Feige took Loveness off and brought in Michael Waldron, the guy behind Loki. Waldron's version, worked on through late 2023 into the summer of 2024, fueled rumors that Doomsday would center around Sylvie, Mobius, and the TVA. That matched what fans saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, where the TVA looked like it was recruiting heroes to protect the multiverse. That's probably why Cumberbatch originally thought Strange was part of the plan. But then the Russo brothers took over, rewrote the whole thing, and cut Strange completely. Right now, the only confirmed characters are Doctor Doom, Spider-Man, and the Fantastic Four. It's a strange move considering how popular Doctor Strange is, but it fits the Russos' playbook. Remember, they left out Ant-Man and Hawkeye from Infinity War, only to give them major roles in Endgame. So where does that leave Strange? 2 main options. Either Doctor Strange 3 drops before Secret Wars, or Strange becomes the centerpiece of Secret Wars itself. And here's the exciting part. Cumberbatch's recent comments strongly suggest that Doctor Strange 3 will finally dive deep into the dark dimension. Fans have been waiting for that ever since the first movie teased Dormammu's realm, and Multiverse of Madness barely touched it. Now, with Cumberbatch hinting at it directly, it feels more likely than ever that Doctor Strange 3 will go all in on that cosmic horror side of Marvel. And that's more than enough to get fans hyped. If you look back at Doctor Strange's arc so far, it's pretty clear Marvel's been laying the groundwork for where he's headed. The first movie introduced the Dark Dimension and Dormammu, but Strange barely scratched the surface of what that realm really means. Multiverse of Madness took things further, showing the real cost of magic and leaving him with that mysterious third eye. Basically, Marvel's way of saying he's unlocked something far more dangerous than before. In the comics, that eye connects to the Eye of Agamotto, and gives Strange cosmic-level awareness, the power to see through lies, magic, and even souls. But in the MCU, it feels more like a side effect of the Darkhold's corruption, the same thing that warped Wanda in Multiverse of Madness. If that's the case, Strange might be carrying a piece of forbidden magic inside him, setting up Doctor Strange 3 to really dive into the consequences of using power that comes with a price. That's where Clea comes in. Charlize Theron's surprise appearance in the post-credits scene wasn't just a cameo. It was Marvel signaling the next chapter in Strange's journey. In the comics, Clea is Dormammu's niece and a sorceress who becomes Strange's partner and even the next Sorcerer Supreme. Her arrival opens the door for a full-on exploration of the Dark Dimension, with Strange finally stepping into that cosmic territory. So what could Doctor Strange 3 actually look like? Picture Strange's growing connection to the Dark Dimension, with Clea as both ally and guide. Dormammu could return, but in a much more personal way than that time loop showdown from the first film. The third eye could become a symbol of Strange slowly losing control, almost like an addiction to power, the same way Tony Stark's tech obsession kept pulling him deeper. If Strange starts slipping into corruption, it gives Marvel a chance to set some real emotional stakes heading into Secret Wars. Imagine a Doctor Strange who's no longer fully trusted by the Avengers, but might be the only one capable of navigating the chaos of the multiverse. That would make him essential. Producer Richie Palmer and writer Michael Waldron have already teased that Strange's role is only getting bigger, and Waldron even hinted that Strange could become the new anchor of the MCU's next saga, the same way Iron Man was for the Infinity Saga. That lines up perfectly with Cumberbatch's recent comments about sticking around long-term. Steven began as a man obsessed with control. Perfect hands, perfect outcomes, no humility. The first movie shattered that ego and replaced it with responsibility. But it also planted the idea that magic always comes with a cost. Multiverse of Madness took that theme even further, turning responsibility into consequence. Now he's the guy who broke something, and he's the one who has to fix it on a multiversal scale. If Marvel wants one character to bridge the magical side of the MCU into Secret Wars, Strange is that bridge. Here's how the third movie could land that arc while actually changing him. Act 1 starts with Strange pretending everything's fine. He's back in New York, the eye amulet is just a relic now. Wong's still the Sorcerer Supreme, and America Chavez is training at Camartage, but that third eye keeps flickering. Glimpses of impossible geometry, whispers of things that shouldn't exist in this plane. He can ignore it or use it, and because he's Stephen Strange, he uses it. The problem is, every shortcut comes with a price he'll have to pay later. Eventually, Strange and Clea dive into the heart of the dark dimension to seal an incursion. The only way to repair reality cleanly is through Fultine energy, the same primal fire Dormammu wields. To survive channeling it, Strange has to stop using the third eye as a tool of control and start using it as awareness. Acceptance instead of domination. He has to let go of the need to force the perfect outcome and trust others to hold the line. Wong stabilizes Camartage, America mends the rift, and Clea negotiates, not for peace, but for legitimacy, trying to rebuild the dark dimension on her own terms rather than Dormammu's tyranny. It's messy, political, and deeply personal. That ending would perfectly set the stage for Secret Wars without spoiling it. Strange enters that story not as the guy who looks at 14 million timelines and picks one, but as someone who understands why those timelines fall apart, how incursions give rise to empires like Doom's, and what it costs to stitch everything back together. Cumberbatch has made it clear he's here for the long run. The producers have framed Strange as a key part of Marvel's future, and the cast keeps hinting that the magical corner of the MCU is expanding fast. Doctor Strange 3 should be the movie where he stops trying to outsmart the universe and starts taking care of it, because that's the only version where the third eye isn't a curse. It's the wisdom he earned the hard way.